it kept triggering and triggering. So us wandering book dealers are becoming a terrorist threat, I guess. So it's kind of interesting to have the TSA guys go nuts over a book, which I thought was kind of interesting.
And you really can't bring large size packages. Like when you go to next week, you're going to, is that right? You're going to Boston, and you really can't bring large packages there.
I put all my books in my. I put my books in. I'm allowed two suitcases, so I put them in the hold of the aircraft, and there's never been an issue for that. I mean, occasionally I will get the TSA envelope in there that they pop the suitcase, but I've never had them pull them apart. But this guy was, because I was carrying it on the aircraft. I was a boarding passenger with that thick book, which conceivably I did not realize, like we were talking before the show went live, that that thick, the machines can't see through it. So I could have had gun, money, drugs, whatever. Apparently,
how are you supposed to have weather-wise in Boston next week?
It's always cold.
No, but what about the snowstorm that's going through?
Like I said, every time I go to Boston, I've been doing this show for 5 or 8 years now. I get there and I'm freezing to death, and I think I'm going to smack the next guy just in general principles. You should have been here 2 weeks ago. We went to the beach. Next guy that says that to me is getting smacked. I'm over it. And the same thing happens to me in New York, that funny book show. So, Bill, this is your problem. I'm not going to smack you. Every time I go to New York, they say it's cold. They always say, it never snows this late.
Yeah, of course.
How is the weather in Seattle now, Bill?
I mean, the rain's here.
Yeah, that's normal. That's expected.
Yeah, I mean it. Yeah, well, yeah, like you just said, Thorne. I don't check the weather. I peek outside. It never prevents you from doing anything.
No,
so yeah. I don't mind it.
So I always say I trust my window.
To the Florida Antiquarian, I want to welcome everybody to the Rare Book Cafe, which is brought to you by the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair. The Rare Book Cafe is the book lovers' rendezvous, where the topics are priceless and the conversation is free. We're a virtual cafe available anywhere in the world, and we will be happy if you decide to tune in anywhere in the world, wherever you are. And wherever you are and you're watching the Rare Book Cafe today, by all means, type in comments and let us know where in the world you're watching from. It is Saturday, November 9th, 2019. It's 167 days until the next Florida Antiquarian Book Fair, which is April 24th through the 26th in 2020.
New year.
My name is Alan Smith. I am the creator and producer of the Rare Book Cafe. With me today is Thorne Donnelly of Liberty Books in South Florida, in Jupiter, Florida.
Wherever you want.
You're still in Jupiter, right? Yes.
As of about an hour ago, I took my dog for a walk. It looked familiar. Yeah. I think
all right. So. Well, that's a good thing. And I want to welcome Edie Eisenstein from Miami Beach, the queen of miniature books. Hi, Edie.
Hey. Hi, Alan.
And I also want to welcome our guest today, Bill Wolfe from Collins Books in Seattle. Hi, Bill.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi.
Glad that you could join us. And we're looking forward to an interesting show today. I want to give a quick shout out to Michael Bathrick, who is in State College, Pennsylvania. So glad to hear from you, Michael. And anybody else who's out there watching, by all means, put in, let us know where you're watching from. And if you have questions during the show, you're welcome to ask questions of our guests and our regulars. Stephen Eisenstein will be along a little bit later. We want to invite you to and I should mention that Lindsay is away. on a much needed vacation, and so
Oh, good.
we give him. We're glad that he has the opportunity to be away, and I think next week, Thorne, aren't you going to be?
Next week, I will be attending the Boston Book Fair. Our actual fair is from 8 in the morning. It's a satellite fair of the ABA fair, which is a 3-day fair. We set up Friday night, Friday afternoon. Then I'm able to go to the opening of the Big Kids Fair Friday night and see all my friends. And then Saturday, we open at 8, so a lot of the dealers come over to see us. We're open till 4, and then I fly home. The point of that whole long explanation is I will attempt to come in. We have had a Wi-Fi service in that auditorium, and I'm assuming we will again. But again, it's not under our control. It's the Heinz. It's a it's a commercial situation. So if I have Wi-Fi and I'm not. Most of our business is done by noon because that's when the dealers have to go back to their show. So I get there about 6:30 or 7 and really hustle it till noon, and then the afternoon, the dealers are all back at the big show, and so it goes open. It's always open to the public, but the public usually shows after lunch. So I should be able to have a break and tell you about all my wonderful sales.
Well, that will be.
I will attempt to, but it's their Wi-Fi. I mean, it's in a basement, so I can't use the cell phone. It does not work.
Okay, well, if you're able to connect with us, we'd be glad to have you on. I also want to mention that we'd be glad to have anybody who wants to pop in. I put a link in the comments at the top of the comments, and all you really need to do is make sure that you have a good Wi-Fi connection and a Chrome browser, and then connect through Facebook, and you can come in and drop in, and we'd be happy for you to drop in. I want to give a quick shout out to Jane Kahn. Hi, Jane. Welcome back. I haven't seen you for a while. And welcome to MK and also to Dennis. Glad to have you here and glad to have you watching. By all means, join us in the conversation as we progress today. So I'm going to invite Edie, who I think has some exciting things to tell us about miniature books. I'm going to invite her in, and then a little later we'll be visiting with you, Bill, and learning about Collins Books in Seattle.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And I think we're going to have Edie right here. There's Edie. Hi, Edie.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So, Edie, what do you have to share with us today?
Well, number one, the first and foremost thing I have for today is everybody that's listening that likes miniature books should certainly join the Miniature Book Society. We were talking with Todd last week, and Todd Summerfield is certainly brilliant. And to renew, all you have to do to renew or have a new membership is to go to the Miniature Book Society, and they will be able to let you print out an application, which Stephen and I did, and we mailed in our check for $40 for a membership. And it will go to Donna in California, who is in charge. And Donna is lovely, lovely. You would send her your check for $40 made out to the Miniature Book Society, MBS, to Donna MBS membership at Gmail, or you could call her at 415-648 1382. Her name is Donna LaVey, Ballee, La Valle. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. And I'll give you the phone number again, 415-648 1382. But you can get all of that from the Miniature Book Society online. Show and tell today, I have a few things that run the gamut. First of all, we're coming up to Christmas, and you will start to see keepsakes things that you can get for Christmas. One of them that I had picked up was in this box, and what it is this. It is not a miniature book per se, but when you open it up, it says Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, etc., etc., and there is a little carving of Humpty Dumpty. I got this a couple of years ago when I saw it, because indeed it is shaped like a book, and it is an ornament that you can hang on a tree. Now, I looked it up, as I do with many things, right before I came online, and it indeed is appreciating in value. I had also looked up Once on Christmas by Dorothy Thomas, and I found this online again, and it has appreciated up to $150, which allowed me to reprice it. But again, it is a limited edition. It was from Don Brady's library that I got. This is copy number 84, if you can see that, and signed by Don Brady of the Clearview Press. And he was just a wonderful man, did unbelievable work with the Clearview Press, illustrated, and it's lovely. And at Christmas time, these things start to surface. I had also found one of my old Marie Sendak books. This one is Chicken Soup with Rice, and it is a book about a boy that wants to serve chicken soup with rice to his family a different way every month, and it's adorable. This copy is unique in that I do have the dust jacket. And again, a dust jacket will increase the value. And this particular book was from a set called the Nutshell Library, which I have, that it's alligators all around, Pierre, one was Johnny, and chicken soup, which I like. Last week I told you, as I was talking to Todd, I did not yet get his article on the Little Golden Books, but you can find Little Golden Books. This is the most current volume of Little Golden Books, and they come, Walt Disney puts them out with a variety of titles. They are illustrated lovely. If you go into a thrift store, you can find them usually in the children's section for pennies or at a thrift store. And these are also appreciating in value. But I told you last week that I would show you some of the older ones. Now, these pages are designed for matchbook covers. The older ones, which are up here, do not show the name of Walt Disney. The bottom ones down here, and they're all called Tiny Golden Books, and they are numbered. And these will say Walt Disney inside on the title page. And I find that these holders allow the books to breathe, and yet you can see what you have. And I arranged them chronologically. Later on in the editions,
Edie,
yes,
if you can hold those so that they the bottom is further back than the top, I think it won't be as there won't be so much reflection.
oh, okay.
So just
How's that?
turn the top so that it is toward the camera, and the bottom so it's a little bit back.
Okay.
And let me get
Well,
you
in those
here.
last series, he put Walt Disney at the top. And
Go
so,
ahead and put those things up again so we can see them.
put them, okay, I'll put them up again. The earlier editions did not say Walt Disney on the
Bring it
cover.
over in front of your face. Thank you. And hold it back a little bit. Hold it back a little bit so we can get all of the picture. And a little bit further toward your right. Nice.
Okay.
Right there. Now we can see all of them.
Okay.
Very nice. Thank you.
Yes. And the latest ones above the title say Walt Disney. And of course, the new little golden books, which are a different shape, they say Walt Disney inside. And these things always fascinated me because you do have beautiful illustrations, you have the whole stories, children love them. And Todd Summerfield said last week that in his next article for the Miniature Book Society, for their magazine, he was doing an article on the little golden books. Some of the individual titles have appreciated. They've all appreciated more than a quarter. You can't go wrong, even if you just get them to be able to give to children. And Todd Summerfield, as I say, he was on last week with Felix in Ireland. He received an award at the last conclave that was the Anderson Yarnell Award for his I can do it attitude. And that is his attitude. He doesn't know how to say no, and he's just a kind, wonderful person. And so, again, I would suggest that everybody join the Miniature Book Society, get their publications, read their familiar, wonderful articles. And I already put the conclave for 2020 in Tarrytown, New York, which is going to be August the 7th to the 9th, 2020. So maybe Stephen and I will be able to get to my first conclave. At least it got onto my calendar. That's a start. That is a start. And that's what I have to say from not so sunny Miami Beach, Florida. Today is a rainy, gloomy, miserable looking day, but not the snow that they have up north and the freezing weather. We're really lucky. And not the fires in California. I hope everybody in California is safe and secure.
Indeed. Well, we know that that within a day or two it will be beautiful in Miami Beach, and the glorious weather will be restored.
Might not even have to wait a day, Alan. I always look out the window to see what's happening at the moment. I trust my window. I can see Channel 7 across the bay, and you turn on Channel 7, and what they announce for the weather has absolutely nothing to do with the reality of what is going on outside of my window. And so they either do not have windows or looking east from their studios as I look west to their studio. I one day I will stop in and I will let you know what happens when I do.
Be interesting to hear their answer. All righty. Well, thank you very much, Edie. Okay, Alan. Well, while we're waiting for our next guest, I thought I'd include something. Today I've been finishing up my reference library, and I was looking through a book on Apollo 11, the first landing on the moon. And there, I read a caption. A lot of us collect the photographic ephemera, books on photography, whatever. And it was a picture we've all seen. It was taken on the Apollo 11 flight by Collins in the command module as the Eagle came back up from the moon after the landing. And the picture, we've probably all seen it, but perhaps not the caption. The picture has in the center the Eagle coming back from the moon. Behind it, on the bottom, the picture, the moon is in the frame, and in the distance is the Earth rising over the moon. And the caption of it was kind of intriguing. It is the first unselfie, because if you think it through, that when Mr. Collins took that picture, every human being in the world and the two astronauts coming up from the moon were in that one picture. He was the only one that was not in the picture of all humanity. Nice going, Mr. Collins. Think about it. He was for one little moment there the loneliest man in the world.
It's so true.
So on that, I thought I would do that while we're waiting for our guest, who it looks like, Alan, he's also going to try and bring for his employees, Robin and Mike, on if they get to work on time, which I don't know if you saw his little note here. But we could have 3 guests this afternoon, so we're going to be running out of screens pretty soon. But I hope he's ready to go, because I'm ready to hear all about Seattle and the Collins bookstore and what he's up to. So
we are, and here shortly we are going to actually. There it is. He had disappeared for a moment. There.
Oh my! I can't have that. Well,
it's coming in.
Would you like to show my little bookmark, or should we save that for another time?
We'll save that for another time, because we have Bill in here now, and we're going to have him on screen as well.
All righty, I will take it out then.
And there we go.
Hello. Welcome back, Bill.
Hi, guys. Thank you. You know what? I ducked out of the picture for a second because as you were talking about the Apollo program, I happened to be sitting about 1 foot away from a banker's box full of an archive of Harold Wright Bell, who was the chief of aerodynamics on the Apollo program.
Wow.
Show.
That came in just recently. It's got just essentially all of his math, all of his calculations, a lot of little pamphlets and ephemeral things, and that he had used to build the case to go to the moon. So
incredible. You know, I still think that may be one of the high spots of humanity or something. So whenever I see something or read it, I really like it.
Do you have that handy to show?
Well, there's not much to show. I can show a sample of his work.
Sure. Yeah, it'd be just fun to have a piece of that. Yeah, it's amazing to think that was that's about a month ago, was 50 years ago.
Isn't that incredible?
69. I think we can all do the math. One thing I find
who knew we'd all still be around to remember it?
Well, that was one of the things they were saying at the 50th anniversary. A lot of the people that did the actual work, there were 400,000 people on that mission. Many of them have passed away. So they are with the angels on the moon or whatever now. Yeah, it looks so. Wow, those are that's a hand manuscript, isn't it?
Oh my God! Yeah. So this
calculations that are certainly above me. I only have a doctorate.
Yeah, I mean it's way over my head too. But I mean these are genuine calculations made around
marvelous.
The orbits, how to achieve the orbits, and vectors and physics, and it's very high-minded stuff, but it's fascinating because it's he had to pitch this program to his superiors, and this is essentially how he put together the pitch. This history.
Bill, do you remember there was a movie out, and I actually ran into one of the guys once, and maybe Alan did too. That the thing was that it was all done as a fake, as a studio. That they never went up there, conspiracy theory, whatever. And one night in Aspen, many, many years ago, I ended up talking with somebody and there's a surprising number of people, I hope that you guys aren't one of them, that really think it was faked in a Disney movie studio. I mean, if you look at me growing up in California in the movie industry, if you look at the shot, we wouldn't turn out such a piece of crap. It would have been that tells me it was real, right?
If it had been fake, it would have been much better.
Yeah, exactly. No, in looking through this archive, I confess I did not find anything from any Hollywood execs or. I
think we went up there.
Yeah.
And we came back, which is probably the most important part.
Absolutely.
The other part.
If you guys are following this SpaceX stuff where they're sending rockets up and then returning them now.
Oh yeah, great.
So, I mean, it's incredible video to see this new technology.
I'm 67 years old. I kind of a life goal at this point is to outlive my dog, and to be able to see a human landing on Mars, which apparently these guys, be it the guys from Tesla or NASA, your guy Bezos is running it pretty good too, isn't it? So the Amazon gentleman, he's putting an effort for that.
I think so. Yeah, he's got some.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 of them
going on. Yeah,
and I'm assuming that assuming I live a little while, we're probably going to see. I think that we may see before I go landing on Mars, which I think would be kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, and a return to the moon, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
It's all sort of in play suddenly. So
let's hope so. Anyway, I want to hear something from the ground level from Seattle, which, as far as I'm concerned, is still there. It's still cool. It has one great bookstore. So let's hear about the real life. They're called books. A lot of people out there may not remember that, but let's talk about books. What do you got?
Yeah, well, I mean, there are more than one great bookstore in Seattle, although a lot of them are a bit in the shadows. I mean, a lot of us are out of our houses now and not necessarily, right there next to Pike Place Market or wherever they may be touristing the city. Okay. If you're a book lover and you know how to sort of get on Abe and do some investigating or we're out there and so this shop is not zone commercial. You wouldn't know it by looking at us from the outside, but you come into this house and it's full of great, interesting, esoteric, scarce titles of all interests, really. So,
wasn't the original Mr. Collins bookstore? I'm not exactly sure the title. Was that not an open shop originally when you went to work there?
Well, so I mean, he had a number of iterations on the name, but this is an old thing that I found.
that one. Yeah, wasn't that an open? Didn't you start there in college or high school or something as an open shop?
Well, he moved up here from the Bay Area around in the early '80s, and he was in Capitol Hill at the time, and it was just off the beaten path of Capitol Hill. So he had a commercial space, but there weren't too many people that came in. So he would essentially just keep the door open until the mail came, and then lock it up and do his thing. So but he lived with the books too. So there was it was a mix of open shop versus appointment only.
Yeah, I had an open shop, and now I've gone to I have a 3-story townhouse, bottom floor is my bookstore. And I like by appointment only, but really means because everybody ignores that. They come on, they pound on the door anyway. So I guess I have an open shop, although I try very hard to say by appointment only, but nobody listens to me anyway.
Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. We get knocks on the door all the time, and we but just for our own purposes, I mean, having to step in and out from time to time, go to the mail, take the orders, and we got to have some idea who's coming when. So
it helps.
Yeah.
I'm here when I'm not supposed to be and not here when I should be. I had a sign like that for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting, the history of book selling around our country. In terms of stores, famous stores that come and go. Besides who you were just talking about, what was some of the others in that neck of the woods? We know Powell's, right?
Yeah, so Powell's in Portland, and they I mean, that's a monstrous operation with nearly 1 million books on the shelves, 5 different shops, down from 7, I think, historically.
That's not me, I confess.
That's us.
Okay, let's hear a book dealer answer the phone. We've done programs on that.
No, that's okay. It's probably just a robot anyway that's buying books. So let's see. I mean, back in the day, I mean, I know from talking to Lewis that Shorey's was a big deal here. Of course, there were others, but these days, we like the Magus, and I'll introduce Robert, who's sort of back here, who's from the Magus and now works here with us.
Was Dick Weatherford from there also?
Bowie and Weatherford, they had and Weatherford, of Interlock, right?
Yeah, the very first computer program. As a matter of fact, the year it broke, he was at the Florida Book Fair.
Yeah. So I mean, and this is one thing that I have a real interest in, and this is Robert. Now he's sitting formally with us. it's something I have a real interest in. I don't know if it'll go anywhere in terms of, publishing anything, but just the history of the book trade in Seattle and in the greater Northwest. Through Lewis and through a lot of people that I know through the book fair, we're able to put together a bit of a history, and it's just interesting to track it and to otherwise things, details get lost, legacies get lost. So we're always interested in sort of trying to preserve that.
Are you aware of the book dealer in California? Oh, I'm going blank, but I know the book he sent me right here. Oh, gosh, I am really embarrassed by this. This was the biography of the bookseller. Uncle Paulie is his name. Bookstorememories.com. Do you know of him?
Uncle Paulie, he goes by?
Yeah, bookstorememories.com. That's what I was slowing down on for a second. Bookstorememories.com is his site. Uncle Paulie is his name. He wrote the book about the wild ride of a noted Hollywood book dealer. But more so, he's very interested, and he's been doing this for quite a while, on the history of bookselling in California. And he's got this site called, help me repeat it again, bookstorememories.com. I just suggest, possibly, since you're both so close to each other and we're all entrenched in the book business, it might be a good thing for you guys to contact. He's got a tremendous archive of what seems to be West Coast, California, possibly Washington material.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember Lewis sending me links from time to time from that site, because he had the same interest as I did, and we had always bounced things back and forth, more him to me than me to him, but just about his old friends in the trade, other shops on the West Coast that particularly that did his kinds of materials, the academic stuff. So yeah, I've heard of that site, although I'm not familiar with the person who runs it.
No, just good networking.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
I'll let Robert say something here about the shop and what we do and how long we've been here and the robots that call us on the phone.
Robots, yes, they are frequent, and they always change their numbers, so you never know what they actually are. Hi, I'm Robert. I've been in the book trade for, I'd say, a majority of my life at this point. I've been working with Bill here, specifically with Bill, for almost 2 years.
2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
3 years.
Three,
like
if you count. Yeah, with Lewis here.
Mm-hmm. So, but I met Lewis through working at Magus back in 2012. He needed help for the book fair, so I've been working with him about this long. And in all the bookshops that I've worked for through the years, I'd say this is probably closest to my vision of perfection in terms of working in the book trade. There's a lot of rare stuff that I see almost on a daily basis.
Have you gravitated towards any particular specialties, or do you want to be a generalist and specialize in generalities?
Well, it's actually one of the most common pieces of advice that I always got kind of coming up in the book trade, is to specialize. But, I think my interests are all over the map, such that I don't want to isolate anything here or there and be, I want to see it all. I'm in this as a means to essentially get books for myself, more than just, making a living in some sort of, otherwise bland, buying and trading of a commodity. So, so if we are to be said to specialize in something, it's academic nonfiction, scholarly stuff. And we're all after scarcity because that drives price. So, but outside of that, we have a little bit of fiction. We have a little bit of poetry, and but for the most part, anthropology, archaeology, history, art, linguistics, sciences, those kinds of things are what we like to do most.
You were making a joke, and we all understand it because we've all answered bookstore phones for ages. Like when you get a call, since you are specialized, how do you guys handle that? You know, we've gone through on the show, you know, how do you give good phone as a book dealer? And I guess we were talking about being generalists. But if you're not answering the calls, you know, what would you say to a cold caller? I'm curious about that. Or, you know, are you not even looking at some of these potential buys based on the fact that it, you know, just what didn't sound like anything would happen from it?
No, I mean, I'm pretty aggressive. I look at anything. Anyone who calls and has, you know, or emails and has books to see, you know, we advertise that we do free house calls, which doesn't sound like much to me, but it's just fairly rare these days that, you know, someone will come out of a shop to see books unless it's something, you know, absolutely major. So I try to follow up on every single lead, and I keep a stack of leads just sort of on hand all the time, and really try to, you know, make sure that it doesn't fit what we do before I, you know, push it out of our consciousness. So,
How many square feet do you guys have?
About 3,000 here, but then a warehouse of another 1,000 square feet that's got 1,311 boxes in it. I happen to know.
Are you officially out of room or semi close?
I mean, it's
a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah,
it's a joke. Yeah.
You never run out of space. You never have enough space in this.
Well, look,
it's constantly moving. It's excuse me. It's constantly a Tetris game around here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's little pockets and things do sell, so we gain a little bit of room, even though we probably upload more than we sell per day. But you know, we always find room. We always find a way to squeeze a little bit more space.
Right.
Into what we can do here. So.
I feel like a bit of a fraud in this particular conversation because if you look right above my head, we have empty shelves. But that is not
an accident.
From yesterday. We piled everything on the floor. You can't see it, but it's all backed off all of our reference books. So we're cleaning it up and reorganizing and figuring out what we need. So that will be full again by tonight. And yeah, so it's a constant game of just shifting things around and prioritizing and we essentially just kind of play with price points, you know, that can help us dictate what to keep around and what not, because there's just no end to the books that come in, and I'm not even aggressively looking for books yet. It's just handling what is thrown at us. So we have you know a pretty good process here to just get them up and get them out one way or the other.
A garage, I just ask this out of curiosity, garage sales and estate sales in your purview of hunting?
I mean, back in the day they used to, and that's certainly fun. I mean, it'd be an enjoyable Saturday to go out and just hit 9 estate sales, but, you know, sort of bang for your buck, bang for your, you know, for the amount of time that you're putting in. We more or less just wait on the bigger collections, or ask people to bring books to us when it's just a box or two here and there. So it's just mainly about, time management. I can't fit it in. You know.
Yeah. I totally understand. I was just curious about that. If we, you know, estate sales and garage sales, sometimes you got to go to a lot of them to, you know, get the big yield sometimes. But from time to time, you know, they do. I'm just curious how it's done in other, you know, other geographical regions of the country.
Yeah. No, I mean it's a big thing around here, and I used to the last time I went, I remember I ran into the same bookseller 4 times in one day. We had no program to do any of this together. This is Mark Anderson, and we just kept running into each other over and over throughout the day, and we're joking about it. There are all kinds of scouts and collectors and dealers that are out there doing it right now, Saturday in Seattle, going out to the islands, you know, shopping all the sales, the library sales. But yeah, while it's fun, I mean, we just have so much backlog here. You know, we have collections that have sat around for 2-3 years already, and it's great stuff. So rather than go out and try to find more that's hit or miss, let's just, you know, full on hit what we already have in these boxes.
Speaking of what you got in the boxes, then I'm going to turn it over to Thorne. Or you
Yeah.
fascinated me when you said something earlier. When you started to say Harold Wright Bell, in my mind, it went out the other way, the old writer Harold Bell Wright. But then when you started showing original documents or, pages of mathematical formulas having to do with space, my question is that part of your inventory? Are you going to catalog it, or is that something you were praising? I mean, I don't, that was very unique the way you described it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a work in progress. I'm still working with his widow on how to deal with it. Ultimately, that's not something I would put online. I don't think I would reach out to an institution or find someone that maybe just to donate it to, because I feel a little awkward trying to make money off of something like that. It's so historically important.
Will you do any kind of cataloging of that?
Only insofar as if we choose to go down the road of selling it to an institution, then I'm going to have to describe it in some way.
I would love to see a copy of how you describe, especially some of those pages that you showed us. I'm professionally, seriously curious.
Yeah, well, so am I, because it'll be a brand new thing. This is but it's that's the fun in working in a place like this, is just to see what comes in the door every day, and you never know what's going to fall out of a book or come as an archive. It's just incredible.
I do a lot of appraisals, and that would be something that I just professionally would love to read somebody's description about, because I have an idea what could possibly be in that. Mm-hmm. And I would love to see how you describe a page like that.
Okay. Yeah, Stephen, if I get something worked up, I'm still waiting on her kind of final decision on how to handle this box, because it's the family too that, are differing in opinion about what to do with this. They do sort of, task me with getting it out there and getting it placed somewhere where it can be kept together and appreciated. Then
half want, having done estate sales professionally for a while, half want money, half want donation, and you might have a third possibility. I say this jokingly, we always say you can judge a family whether they took the family photos or not, but this is a really great archive. How big is it? I mean, last question, how big is it?
Yeah. Well, what I've got right now is just one banker box, but it's full, and it's nothing but, just his worksheets, his mathematics, his and then an occasional just kind of high science pamphlet thrown in that he used as reference, or sometimes that he wrote and bound as part of his presentation to get this program off the ground. So and I'm sure that they have more, I would imagine, because they've got a storage space full of boxes that they haven't completely been through yet. So it's fascinating to see what is going to show up.
So there's the potential that this could look like nothing compared to what you might find. Good luck. Keep us posted, please.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I'm going to have to go. I just got somebody at my door. Steve, will you fill with me for a while?
Who is that knocking at my bookstore door? It was the local whore and nothing more. I'm sorry. Well, you want to hear the beginning of that one? Once upon a book night dreary, as I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and forgotten volume of bookstore lore, suddenly there came a rapping at my bookstore door. 'Twas Mrs. Robinson, the local whore, her pimp, and nothing more.
Steve,
all right, enough poetry.
Well, the raven.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
Oh gosh. Oh, did I just hear? Yeah, he's just back. So let me bring him back in here.
I think Warren had to run out. I'm sorry if I violated cable rules on that one.
No. Actually, thank you for covering for me. I was hoping, just because what we've been talking about, that I was going to have a customer that was going to come in and buy one of my more Greasewood acquisitions for thousands of dollars. But it turned out it was Amazon. So, dropping off something I really don't need, but decided I did at the time. But what I wanted to, I was going to say Robert but you were talking about behind me this week. We have a bunch of books, and you have some empty shelves. For the last couple of weeks, those shelves of mine were empty, and without bothering to spin on those are some of my reference books. There's nothing for sale behind me, and it extends a wall over that way of about 5 more bookshelves. And so it was interesting to me that you were talking about reference books. I literally spent the last couple of months trying to somewhat catalog, organize mine just so I can find them and put them in some kind of vague alphabetical order. But I was wondering, a lot of people, I personally have a PhD in information technology and taught computer science and all that, which is not a big deal because I find the internet useful for finding out things quickly, but not 100% accurate. And I would be lost without my reference books. I know people that have thousands of them, and I don't think I'll ever get that high. I'm in the hundreds. But do you still find the reference books something that you use a lot? Use a part of? I think that was for Bill, for Robert, for anybody, because you have an open box back there, and we seem to be thinking along the same line. I just wondered if you wanted to talk about reference books for a minute.
Definitely, especially in my cataloging, trying to identify, definitely keep a more current copy of the first identification guide.
Sure.
But for certain other things, like we had a catch-22 that we need to look up certain points on. We have a lot of speciality, and going through this stuff, it is a lot. And so there's a lot that we will be keeping, mostly the nonfiction book.
Yeah, I find myself occasionally, making some money off of it. I'm bringing a book to a bookstore to the book show. I'm sorry, in Boston, which I detected looking through my references and stuff that the previous bookseller had made a pretty serious bibliographical mistake, and I was able to go into that, and I had some work to do, but we took it over. And then I also have some books which I'm also taking to Boston. Probably my least favorite book in the whole world is Huckleberry Finn. If you look that way, which is my desk, which is getting piled up with books going to Boston, there are 3 of the little darlings, all firsts in various states, and actually including a facsimile of the famous page of the gentleman with something in his pants. I find sometimes that books like Huckleberry Finn, where there's a lot of points, and it's kind of funny. If you go on Abe, you'll see people, or I'm not picking on Abe on any of the websites, you'll see a fair number of people picking out different points, and then you will look down at the more perhaps scholarly book dealers that are mentioning, perhaps in the Huck Finn thing, that there's only really 3 or 4 that are actually all that important point, because this particular book, I'm sure you're aware of it, Huck Finn, was very poorly manufactured. My family's in the printing business. We didn't do this one. And yet at the same time, as there's a lot of questions about the states, in that when they were getting put together, they were just grabbing pages from stuff. And this other book I was talking to, you'll have various pages from a 1830 and an 1870 edition that they just seemed like they were, sometimes the binders or the printers or stuff were, especially in the 19th century, were having a lot of fun putting stuff together.
Yeah.
It drives you a little crazy about what you kind of want to go. You can't go strangle some dead bookbinder and say, "Hey, man, you should have put it where it belonged." Or I'm thinking about writing an article or collecting on. For some reason, I seem to get over my share of books bound upside down. Is that a Seattle phenomenon too?
I think I might have run into maybe a dozen.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that many, but you wonder, and you look at. I missed, and I'm kind of sad about it. Hunter Thompson, Fearing Loathing in Las Vegas, is one of my favorite books, and I used to live in Aspen, and I have some great Hunter Thompson stories that I don't want to make Alan upset, so I won't tell him over the air. But I was at a book fair, and there was a Fear and Loathing first signed by Uncle Hunter that was upside down, and I wanted that badly. And I went back to my booth and said, I'm gonna go get it. And within 5 minutes, that puppy was gone. And that was probably 5-10 years ago, and I'm still mad about that one.
From time to time, we get phone calls about just that. Is the book bound upside down worth more than that? I never heard anybody say yes, and it's not like a stamp. But what's your opinion of that? I've never heard value in a book that was bound upside down that it increased its value. But what's your feeling on that?
Is that to Thorne or to us? I mean,
yeah, well, either or.
It's to Bill. Let's make it to Bill and Robert.
Well, Lewis always seemed to indicate to me that it's not necessarily something that should increase the value. I mean, of course, it makes it fantastically scarce and rare, but and then you
kind of stupid.
Like someone that collects may just want it very badly and be willing to pay a price that you don't even have on it yet. But yeah, I don't know. I tend to think that it's not treated as something that should be more special.
Yeah, we're all in harmony on that. I see. The only incident I ever had with one upside down was I'm not allowed to mention where I listed it for sale, but it was the AV. But anyway, I had listed it for sale, marked. I think it was a John O'Hara book. I mentioned that it was bound upside down. Nobody was interested in it. But I do remember this because it always happens. For some reason, I don't know if I cleaned house, whatever. I didn't have the book anymore. And a few months later, somebody called me up and said, "Do you still have that book?" So, but no, it definitely doesn't add value.
Yeah,
it's not a stamp.
Yeah, Bill, I'm trying to think right now, and give me a second here, but in the Seattle area, there used to be a fine press that going through 40s, 50s, 60s that did some angling books, and I've sold a couple of them. I can't remember who it was. Are there many? And I might be wrong. It might be the Portland area, but are there any fine press shops operating in the Pacific Northwest right now? Make it a little.
The one that I know of for sure that operates out of the Seattle area is called Ars Obscura. They're down in Pioneer Square. They've been doing it for a number of years. There's another esoteric bookseller. I'll say he's more of a reprinter. He likes to bring back into print old medieval esoteric texts, and he goes through Ars Obscura, and he has
Ouroboros.
The Ouroboros Press is his name is I'm blanking on his name. William Kiesel.
He was a guest on my show.
Oh,
was he? Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, about 2 years ago. Sure.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He
told
me back in the day about how he used to have 3 different kind of printings, and he'd always go to them. They would always be the standard cloth with a DJ, but then they would usually do I want to say like a goat skin leather edition, usually more rare, limited. But yeah, he would definitely go through them, and they are still in operation. I try to refer people to them a lot because they do not only book bindings, but they do book restoration as well.
Oh, good. Yeah, so a cash flow situation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that they were at the fair like 2 years ago. There were a couple of fine binders. They were them, and then they were there, but then I think there was somebody right next to them. Do you remember?
Probably maybe the Book Arts Guild, but
Book Arts Guild.
No, Cora Montfort. Yes, so Cora Montfort Press is another one that's here.
Oh, okay, so there's a few of them around. Yeah,
they're around.
Yeah, my family, as I said, was in the printing business, but with a commercial printer, and these guys are too. I wasn't meaning sounding like haughty about that one, but there's not a whole lot of them around, and I love seeing some of the, as we all get them coming through, a really neat fine press, really well bound with the the rag paper and all, the typography and all of the above that makes it kind of special. And I go to the Rare Book School at UVA every year, and it's a summer camp for book nerds. It's the joke, but you sit there and you get to talk to people about it, and they have a fantastic collection you get to go play with and see. Oh wow, I want one of these, and one of these. I heard Bill mentioning that part of the reason for his bookstore book business is to grab books for himself, and that becomes I think that becomes part of every bookseller's profit motive.
Don't get high on your own supply.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so somebody, I think it was probably Steve, that kept telling me these are not your children, sell them. And most of mine go out, but there's a couple of them that get that special drawer, which is upstairs, which I figure if nobody ever sees it, nobody's going to make me an offer, and I can honestly look at Uncle Steve and say, hey, man, it's still there. It's not my fault it didn't sell. Just because it's not listed online.
I have a bookseller friend who says that the books that he'd like to keep around for a little longer, he just prices accordingly. So that
exactly.
That's a good answer. That works really well.
Hey, Bill, I'm trying to read Spanish, English. What's on the front of your shirt? Yo no, I have no creds en fronteras. Explicar, por favor.
What is it? En fronteras. So I don't believe in borders.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out what it was. I don't believe in borders. Okay.
It's more it's less a political statement that I'm making, and more just supporting who I feel is one of the most important bands out there on the West Coast these days, Las Capateras. Just like a bunch of street kids from LA that are heavy into indigenous rights and water rights and civil rights and things like that. So,
and their music is popular.
Yeah, I mean it's getting more and more popular. When they come to Seattle and they play let's say a 300 to 400 person venue, they sell out.
That's nice.
Good deal.
That's nice.
Yeah. So,
thanks.
And
I was just curious.
You're out of the deal. So all right for you. Good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bill, what of those kinds of books that you really don't want to don't want to disappear quickly, that are not necessarily in your personal collection, but you just don't want them to go away soon? Are there a couple of those that are outstanding that you'd like to talk about?
That's a good question too.
We sold a couple of them at the fair that we wound up actually putting good prices on. I mean, you look online, you could get a comparable copy. We liked them, but we took them to the fair, and a lot of them wound up getting nabbed pretty quickly. I was really surprised. What was the place, the Maya book? What was the location that one was based off? Because the guy himself, he went there.
Chichen Itza, yeah. So we had this book on Chichen Itza with kind of a faux stone cover. It's just a beautiful book, and it's priced very reasonably, by us and by others online. It's not terribly scarce, but we just find that we have a lot of that kind of stuff that gets lost on the internet. That's just sort of invisible out there.
Yeah.
Where and we don't have that sort of Powell's high traffic space where people can come in and appreciate these things as they see them and touch them, So we have a lot of that kind of stuff that I don't personally need to further clog my house with, but that are just interesting things that people just don't appreciate that are out there, Oh, there's a book on this, really? So we, however we can, and shows like this, I'm sure are great in helping us, get the word out that we, as well as so many other book dealers out there, have interesting inventories that they can't communicate as well just by putting it on Amazon and Abe and Alibris and wherever. So
yeah, it's a tough one because that's you look at the top sellers of Huckleberry Finn. I was talking about lots of people have Huckleberry Finns, but books like you just described or the private presses that I kind of think are fun. That's why I think one of the reasons for having the shows is people wander by and they say, I get the same comment all the time, especially at St. Pete, because that's a 3 to 4 day show for me. Oh, wow, I've never seen something like that. I'll take it. And a lot of the times I find myself making sales to people that aren't dealers, aren't collectors, are there for some reason. The St. Pete Book Fair, we happen to get a lot of Saturday and Sunday people come out as a date. and and they come along and they're with their friend, and they buy it as a present because the other person had never seen anything like that. I've last couple of years I have a glass thingy that goes in the front of my booth. I've been putting a little section of eye candy, and most of those go away fairly quickly. They're colorful or interesting topic or something. They're not really specifically a rare book, but an interesting book that you can't really draw people's attention to, as you said, Bill, on an internet website. It's impossible. What do you want? Under the search, put neat book.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
Cool book. Yeah, I want to search cool book and see what comes up. Yeah, good luck on that.
Yeah, I mean, so if we get if anyone gets a Huck Finn, or we put that Catch-22 up online, we get overnight from all the dealers out there who want to see a picture, because we don't upload pictures immediately. But yeah, for all this other stuff, book fairs are a great way to get your sort of a good representative sample of your product out there in front of people. Yeah. And then when you do hear someone drop a comment, oh my gosh, this is such a great book, very cool, I've never seen it before, then you can communicate that this is 0.5% of your inventory. Come to the shop, and
really
else that we've got. So that's our challenge as as dealers who have sort of been pushed into their houses from what used to be more reasonable leases, on Main Street and you name the town. That's our challenge. We still have books. They're still here.
I don't know if you guys have made it in your lives to New York City, where the Strand is, but apparently, I've got a couple of books. About 40, 50 years ago, that area in New York City, there was over 100 bookstores, and just like one and two. I forget there's a name for it, which escapes me. And now it's the Strand, and I think that's it. And I understand from what I was reading in the paper recently, they're fighting with the city about landmarking the building, and they're just going to tear it down anyway. So
they don't want it landmarked. Yeah.
Well, nobody does. Yeah. It's horrible.
I've got a box of books from the Strand. I'm sitting 2 feet from here that I bought last time I was there, and there are still shops. East Village Books is a great shop.
Oh,
right
okay.
The Strand. So they're there, but I mean, it's been destroyed, from what it used to be. So.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Enough of my whining for the day, but I wanted to thank both of you for coming and sharing and running a book fair in Seattle. I think the more of these things we have, the keep more of the bookstores, the more fairs, and the better it is for us and the world. So why don't we just I'll let Alan take it from there. But Robert, it was good to see you, and I've been admiring your hat. I have one almost identical. One of my favorite little Navy watch caps. I'm assuming that's what we have there. And Bill, it's always good to see you. And Alan, why don't you do your spiel? And I've got to get ready to take my hound for a walk in the rain, and she does not like getting her nose wet. She's a dry water Labrador Retriever, whatever that means.
She's perfected the art of racing in the rain and getting back in quickly.
Yeah, she can get the job done. She does not like a wet nose. So anyway, guys, thank you for being on the show. It's a treat to see you again, Bill, and to meet you, Robert. So happy bookselling, and have a good holiday season. Now it's coming up to our busy season, so rock with it.
Good luck in Boston too. Good luck in Boston.
All righty, thank you.
We want to thank you, and also invite you to just to drop in anytime. Our concept here is that this is a cafe available to anybody anywhere in the world. And so we're happy to have people who have a fascination with books, who are like-minded people with the people here, who just enjoy gathering and getting an opportunity to talk about books. So by all means, drop in anytime. And anybody out there who has been watching us, we extend the invitation to you to not only to drop in and join us each week here at 2:30 Eastern time on Facebook, but to join us and invite your friends to come and join us as well. So until next time, we say we're here for the love of books.
Sir, hey, no, thank you for having me on.